We've come to bring you the best talk in the 219, the only talk that you can find this level of not just commentary, but understanding of the game and the players and what's going on. And we've talked about it before, and we've said it, and we are just happy to have a guest that comes on who not only knows what he's talking about, but tells you exactly what's going on. And that is John Bowles, JB Stats. It's Week 18, the Bears versus Green Bay. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show again. Your friend, my guy, JB. JB, how you doing today?
Doing good, man. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and all that jazz to y'all. How's everything?
Hey, man, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Harambe, Merry Kwanzaa, and all those good things.
Did you say Happy Harambe?
Yeah.
I thought I was on top of all those.
That's a principle of Kwanzaa, but happy that too.
Happy that too, absolutely.
So I just want to make sure I'm getting all the cheers out and all the celebrations and all the libations, because this is what's coming on tomorrow. This is billed, JB, as the game of all games. This is the greatest determinant of something that I've never seen, like I've seen it before, that I've never seen again. This is the game of all games. So, JB, no matter what else is playing, because there are some big games. Buffalo has a big game. There's some other games that are on the schedule that are going to determine the movement of the NFL playoffs. But the question is right now, JB, is the future now for the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers tomorrow, Week 18? How do you see this whole thing falling out?
You know what? As a lifelong Bears fan and just a purist of Chicago Bear football, if we only win 2 games per season, it better be against the Packers. So this game is so important just for rivalry standpoints and to, just kind of, get a little rib shot in and say, hey, guess what? We didn't make the playoffs, but we stopped you all from making the playoffs too. So in that sense, in that realm, I think it's just good for, just to get the troops hyped up for one more big game. Now, as far as moving forward, I don't know, because right now, we don't look too good against Matt LaFleur. He's only lost to us, I believe, one time, which was 2018.
Yeah, he's had our number, our old number, and the number before that.
He had your burner number. He had your side pieces number. He had your grandmama's number. He had every number. But that leads to a bigger question, and that question is, Jay, is this the end of the defensive head coach? And this is the era of where only time you're gonna find some winning is the offensive head coach, because right now, everybody has the same approach. They don't know. They don't know about Justin. They don't know about this game. They don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how this is going to be. But I do know Matt LaFleur has gotten these Green Bay Packers, those young men, together.
Well,
absolutely he has. But let me ask you all a question.
Okay.
If this is the end, do you think it's the end because of decisions previously made? Or do you think this is the end because there's pressure being put on by local and national media about what you should and shouldn't do?
I think this decision's already been made. I think this was I really think a month ago they had an idea what they were going to do, because they're saying that this pick coming up is a generational talent, and there's no way you can pass on the generational talent. And from that point, these pundits from outside have been saying this, and football coaches live in a bubble, but the GMs don't. And
correct.
They get information from everybody. And he wants to make a informed decision. And I think he's looking not only at this point for the Bears, but he's looking at his future GM life, possibly even in another team at some point in time. You have to percentages say you have to take a generational talent. And I think what you're looking at right now is a team that's already decided what's going to go happen. I really believe that. I think it didn't really matter what Justin Fields did at this point. And I've been on, as G will tell you now, G Sizzle will tell you, I've been on the boat now. I have put my dinghy out there and rowed out to the Justin Field boat and climbed aboard and say, look.
Okay, good.
Look, you got to keep this guy down. He's shown that he can play. If you could put an offensive line in front, because you've seen Eberflus build a defense, and we've seen this defense now in the last 5 weeks or so. They have been rated very high in the NFL right now. They will come and knock you in the mouth. Eberflus has showed he can put a defense together. Now, do you want to go through an entire rebuild again by bringing in this top quarterback? And now Justin Fields is there. Now the coordinator's not going to there. Now are you going to sign Eberflus? There's so many things going on. But, however, I digress back to what I said earlier. I think this choice has already been made. I will be very surprised if Justin, number one, is still a Bear by the end after draft day's over with. I'll be very surprised.
Let me tell you something. That in itself is scary, right? The definition of insanity is to repeat something over and over again, expecting a different result.
Yeah.
Is this not something that we've seen time and time and time and time again, not just with the Bears, but throughout football, period? Hey, let's go all the way back to Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Remember when Eli Manning said, if the San Diego Chargers draft me, I'm not going?
I'm not going.
So you telling me you want to draft this quote-unquote generational talent that has said on numerous social media platforms that he doesn't want to be here?
Yeah. And
that's just one. That's not even talking about the term generational. How many generational first-round picks have we seen that are in the booth right now broadcasting or just never lived up to the hype? Hell, we're about to see one tomorrow. Sam Darnold, generational talent, first-round pick, can't miss out of SC. How is that working out?
Absolutely. The issue,
and we're going to fall suit because of what? Because statistics, analytics, media, a GM that at one point told you that Lamar Jackson shouldn't be a quarterback, he should be a wide receiver. We're going to listen to those guys, but we're not going to listen to the 52 men on the field, the other 23 coaching staff that's sitting up here saying, no, give this kid a chance. Where's the accountability when you sit up there and say, oh, my God, Justin has looked so good in these games here, and here. Well, how did he look good in those games? Oh, well, because we did a vertical passing game. We let him play freely and all that. Oh, so you're not going to put any onus on the coaching. You're just going to blame the player for subpar play, but not realizing that you drove him like a Toyota Camry when he's a Ferrari.
So, JB, let me ask you a question. We see that a certain coach up in New England might be leaving the Pats at some point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's ask a question here. Are we looking at staying pat with the players for the Chicago Bears and moving this coaching staff around? Give me an idea. What's your thought pattern in this? Because you have some people who are they're not Flus fans at all. You know, they don't want Flus, even though I think he's done really well with. One thing I can tell you this: he has not lost the locker room, and I will say that to me as a coach, that's one of the most important things that you have to be able to do is keep that locker room. If you can do that, then now you have something to build on. Do you think this is a situation where, from your standpoint, do we stay pat with the players, change the coaching staff, or do we just stand pat where we are and do what we can with these draft picks?
Well, I'm going on record again, as I have for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Eberflus should have never been our coach in the first place.
That's true.
Now, I think he's only galvanized the locker room by default because he is a Justin supporter, and the other 52 men in that locker room are Justin supporters.
Uh-huh.
So I think that's why he's got the support in the locker room, because there was a time last year when he didn't have the support. And remember, they got caught in 7 one-score games
That's true.
that they could have won in this so-called rebuilding year, right? Then this year, very, very tragic, very unfortunate what's going on with Alan Williams. You know, prayers out to him and his family for whatever they got going on. But he was taking flack from the beginning of this year, starting off 0-4, and then just the way that we lost the Denver game, the way that we lost the Detroit game, the way that we lost the first Minnesota game. And we're just letting the way we lost this just last Cleveland game. And Eberflus makes some bonehead decisions. You put, Justin Jones, a 3 technique in coverage against David Njoku, stuff like that you just know that you should never do. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying he's not a coordinator, and I'm not saying people don't make mistakes. But out of the body of work that I've seen from Matt Eberflus, he's not a galvanizing type of person for a team. He's not somebody that I'm going to look at and be like, man, I'm going to run through a brick wall for this guy.
Yeah.
That's one. 2, if you're really looking for what wins on the football field, yes, coaching does matter, but I don't care. You can have the greatest coach alive, a la Bill Belichick, like you alluded to, and look what he's doing when he doesn't have a great player, or not even a great player, but just a conglomerate of players. People forget he had one season without Tom Brady prior to Tom Brady retiring. He went 11-5 with Matt Castle. So we know that Belichick's coaching imprint makes a big difference as far as what his scheme is. But when you look at what Eberflus has going on right now, how many times have you all sat up in the front of the TV and watched and said, hey, man, if you don't go slap Getsy upside the head and tell him to stop these screens?
Oh, absolutely. Step
in and be a man. Lead your team. Hey, we're not doing that. Dude, step back. Let me take these play calling duties away from you. Andrew Janocko, I'm going to replace you because I don't even know what you do. I think you just collected a check with the title.
It's
because the development is just crazy. You can't tell me after all these times that we've seen Justin Fields, who was, remember, they never called him the number 2 quarterback coming out. They called Trevor Lawrence 1A, Justin 1B. Never called him number 2. So to me, that's pretty generational talent as well. But we're sitting up here talking about he can't throw from the pocket or he forgot how to pass the ball. How? No, he didn't. That is a failure and an indictment on the coaching staff. That is coaching malpractice. Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren need to sit up and have a little coffee together and sit up there and say, hey, look at what this kid is doing. We failed him, but we have something here. Go in and get, hey, you know what? If a 2025 pick is what it takes to get Mike Tomlin, I'll kick the tires and see what he's talking about.
Wow.
I'll definitely do that. You know what else I'll do? I'll sit up there and say, well, let me put a staff together of, say, Eric Bieniemy, Jim Caldwell, then call Kurt Warner and see if he want to be a quarterback's coach. Call Rex Ryan and see if he want to get out the booth and be a D coordinator. I would do something that the Bears have never done instead of following suit like they've done all these years, trying to be the Tressmans and the retreads, the Foxes and all that that's never done anything. But then you blame them when you don't give them the pieces. Now we got the pieces, but we're not giving the pieces to coaching.
So,
we
JB,
shoot ourselves in the foot constantly.
Let me ask you a question, though, JB. If we change Getsy out of there, right, change this offensive scheme out of there, now we're asking Justin Fields again to harness a new offense, to go in here and learn a new play calls, something that we found that maybe he's not as comfortable. It takes a little time. Like any quarterback, it takes a little time, especially if you change your terminology and everything else like that. Is this something that you think that Justin Fields would be able to easily do? Is the wrong term I'm looking for right now. Can he, as an NFL quarterback, switch lanes like this and be successful? Because to me, I think Justin Fields has just been asked to do too much by too many people, and he hasn't had a constant a constant voice in his ear on a regular basis. What do you think about that? I mean, because if we change coaching staff, now we're changing the offensive coordinators, we're changing everything at this point in time.
I would challenge that just because the simple fact Justin is a professional, and sometimes you have these coaches that make complicated plays. You listen to a Kurt Warner or a Chase Daniels, you can call a slant 17 different plays.
Yeah.
You can call an in-breaking route a dig, a 10 and in, a over. You know, you can call it so many different things just because you want to keep it unpredictable and you don't want the other team to catch on, whatever. But when you look at the actual playbook, I look at what a defensive head coach in DeMeco Ryans, they're on TV right now with a guy by the name of C.J. Stroud, who was a rookie, right? Who's about to throw for 4,000 yards and almost 30 touchdowns. For the simple fact, the coach sat with the quarterback and they built the playbook together, terminology included. So when you have a quarterback whisperer like a Jim Caldwell, or you have a guy that, you know, you have to attribute Eric Bieniemy now, fellas, because look at what the Chiefs look like right now. Patrick Mahomes, my guy, but he looks like hot trash right now with Nagy calling these plays.
No, Tyreek Hill makes a big difference, sir.
Well, he does.
Of course it makes a difference, but they did prove last year they could win without him, and they won without him in grand fashion. So you have to look at it, but you have to look at Bieniemy, fellas, and say that he had some type of dealings in how that was ran. You telling me right now that if you had Justin Fields, get you a nice left tackle in Joe Alt, get you Marvin Harrison Jr. with DJ Moore with a vertical passing attack. Now, man, we talking about 30, 40 points a game.
Now we talking. That's the route I'm going. We have to. Now that's a generational talent you got to go get. And that's the
generational talent, because the media will tell you, oh, you can't pass on C.J. Stroud. Guess what? Half of the country passed on C.J. Stroud last year because remember Bryce Young was the number one pick.
Yeah.
But the media won't talk about, oh, Bryce Young ain't that good, or Will Levis ain't that good. But they'll have you believe that you can't pass on these players. Hell,
Will
yes,
Levis,
you can.
What did they say? It's going to take him at least 3 or 4 years to develop. But here's my question, JB. It's come out and it's leaked out that at the beginning of this process, when we all started with Eberflus, and Caldwell was in that process.
He was,
and
yes.
The Bears gave the GM a list of people. Here are the people. The indication was the Bears wanted Jim Caldwell, and that Ryan Poles selected the Eberflus as the head coach. So we're here now. We're here at this point. And the thing that the biggest question is, we say that if we change offensive coordinators or defensive coordinators or head coaches, that Justin has to learn this new system. Everybody has to learn the new system. But if we look at it from the other side, let's say they had been successful and that this wasn't even a conversation, and then your offensive coordinator gets a head coaching job.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have to find an offensive coordinator to replace him.
Mm-hmm.
And the verbiage may not be the same. They may run the same things, but it might be a little bit different. Again, we're always going to keep coming back to the same kind of if, could it, would it, should it be. So my question to you would be, if you get a chance, and I know I love Mike Tomlin, and shout out to all my noops out there. Happy Founders Day to the brothers of KSI. You brothers or you guys, I hope you had a great time. And I hope that you support your coach and Mike Tomlin. But, JB, if I get a chance to get Jim Harbaugh out of Michigan, someone who's been to a Super Bowl, someone who knows how to take a player like Justin, and if you even think that they're on that same page, then God bless you. But knows how to take a team, put a defense together, knows how to put an offense together. You saw what he was able to do running his program even while he was suspended from Michigan. Do you put your chips in and do something you have not done before and get a head coach who says, I have a package with a GM that I want to bring in? If you're Kevin right now, you're sitting there saying, we got to do something. Do you go to Michigan and you go and see what it takes to bring Jim Harbaugh to the Bears?
My short answer, absolutely not. My elongated answer is, what would make you think that Jim Harbaugh would come here while Ryan Poles has a GM job, when the whole reason why he got in trouble in San Francisco was because him and upper management did not get along? Me personally, I feel that Jim Harbaugh is either going to be in line for the Chargers job because he's got a Justin Herbert there, quarterback in place, a defense that should have been playing way better than they are, and they also don't have a GM. So he can ride right into the position of the two, or maybe even Vegas, because I'm not saying that he shouldn't, right? Because I think Antonio Pierce has done a phenomenal job with the Raiders, who they don't have much. But if Jim Harbaugh goes to the Raiders, guess who he can take with him? J.J. McCarthy.
My guy, J.J. I like J.J. I don't know why. Now, maybe he might get there and be Ryan Leaf Jr., but I like J.J. It's something about the kid.
Remember,
I like the moxie.
Ryan Leaf was generational talent too, fellas.
Yes,
Let's not forget. They ain't going to tell you that.
Yes, sir. Yes, he was. He was the man. He was the man with the plan, right?
He was supposed to be better than Peyton Manning. What happened?
Ooh.
Well, I mean, nobody knows. You don't really know until they get into the NFL. I mean,
and that's true. That is very true. But when you look at certain people in certain situations, when you're starting from zero, like the Texans did with Stroud, you have no choice but to build and improve. The Bears are knocking on the door where if they go left, they might see success. But if they go right because everybody thinks left is wrong, you're going to walk up in there and you're going to waste this defense that you have. We're doing it again. We have an ascending defense that's flying all over the field, and we just tell me that I'm wrong on history, fellas. Every single regime, we start, we suck, we get a great defense.
Yep.
Offense is trailing along, and what happens? That defense gets old.
Yep. Every time.
And the issue is, always has been, is that the offense is always lagged behind the defense. We can't get a vertical game to save our lives. I mean, it's amazing to me the line of quarterbacks that have come through Hallis Hall, and we're still having trouble finding a 4,000-yard passer. I mean, it's
trouble.
Guess what?
Have you ever had a 4,000 yard?
I understand it, but what I'm saying it's just
we've never in the history we've never had a 4,000-yard passer and never had a 30 touchdown thrower.
How
Eric
is this
Kramer
possible?
was the close with 29.
Yeah, how is this possible that we have been this inept at the quarterback position for so long? And like you said, JB, the Bears have been noted to be the monsters of the Midway. And we, as Chicagoans in Northwest Indiana, those who hold the Bears to our heart, have always lived on that. We knew we were going to come hit you in the mouth, but we might lose by a touchdown, but we're going to win the fight. But the issue is now with this new NFL, right? These 17-14 games are null and void no more. We're not doing those no more.
Well, I say it's cap.
No, and you're not going to
cap. The Monsters of the Midway thing is a marketing tool. It's cap. You haven't had a Monsters of any Midway since Keith Traylor walked out the door.
Well, if you don't put the Monsters up front to sit in the A gap and make sure that they're eating up that double team from the guard and the center. If they're not eating up those double teams from the inside and let your linebackers run and hit, I'm gonna tell you a lot of that started off too when they thinned up. Remember when Lovey thinned them up?
Yeah. Well, okay, Tommy was great, right?
Yeah.
No question about that. Then what happened with Tommy? See,
injury.
Once the line started to collapse, once you start to run those stunts on him, once you said, "Oh, he's a little light in the pans."
Yep.
Oh, yeah, because Tommy was about 280.
Yeah, if that. I think he was more like 260 by the time. He was thin. He was a thin fella.
Yeah, he was not. He didn't have that girth. So what did they start doing? Collapsing on the middle and just moving that pocket or rolling coverage to his way, and then, as you said, JB, injuries started piling up, and now no more Tommy Harris.
That's what scares me with this defense with the Bears right now. They've talked about taking Montez Sweat and sticking him down over the guard at times, and I don't want them long legs down there, that basketball player, to be down in between that center and guard. I don't want him.
And you know what? You don't do that no more. That's what Reggie White used to do, but guess what? Montez Sweat ain't Reggie White either. He ain't 330-some pounds out there manhandling grown men. So, no, if you do that, to me, that's Eberflus saying I really don't have any faith in Justin Jones, Javon Dexter and them guys, Pickett. That's what you're telling me. Like, damn, let me put this guy in a position to do something and make me look good.
Make me look good because I don't know what I'm doing.
Enough. I don't know what I'm doing. Right. Enough of that.
And that's what I'm scared. And that's what I'm scared of with this coaching staff, is that they will try to put him more snaps on the field, trying to let's see if we can single him up. No, you put him in harm's way if you stick him down inside. Leave him outside.
Look what we just did.
Yep.
Look what we just did. We literally just fell into the conundrum that they want us to do. Deflect from the offense. Let's start talking about our defense because we know our defense is going to bail us out. Enough of that. You haven't made any sound decisions consistently, in my opinion, in about 20 years. I can take you back. If you want to talk defense, we can talk defense. Why are you drafting Shea McClellan? Why you ain't draft Sean Marion? Why you ain't draft Sean Marion? People be like, "Oh, didn't Sean Marion get on steroids?" Guess what? Sean Marion for about 3 to 5 years was probably a top 5 linebacker in this.
Absolutely.
And could have done great things with Briggs and Urlacher.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Gabe Karimi. What is that about? Let's talk about Chris Williams. Oh, we're going to draft an offensive lineman with a bad back. Huh? Isn't the back and the legs your most important part on the interior?
Well, didn't you just do that with Tevin Jenkins?
You're furthering my point. We keep doing the same thing over. We don't draft Dante Culpepper. Before Dante Culpepper, we'll take Cade McNown.
No, Lord.
We don't draft Randy Moss or Larry Fitzgerald or people like that. You know what I'm saying? We don't draft Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson. We draft Mitch Trubisky.
Well, let me ask you a question now, because I'm going through
We
these
bring
names.
in Mike Glennon.
Right.
What?
What are we talking about? Is this problem further up in Hallis Hall up to the up? Is this where this problem actually is?
There you go. Because I had word from Courtney Cronin stating that Brian Poles actually did not endorse the hiring of Matt Eberflus.
Oh.
That Ted Phillips and Virginia, on their way out the door, are the ones who actually selected Eberflus. And I'll take a screenshot of that and send that to you.
Okay, yeah,
guys, so you can just take a look at it. And this comes from Courtney Cronin, which is a very reliable source.
That is the source. Breaking news here on the Sizzle. So, ladies and gentlemen, we just talked about it, and boy, that's why you got a JB on, so that, ladies and gentlemen, you don't hear the puffery, you don't hear the foolishness, you hear the real when you talk about the Sizzle, because we keep it hot. So, this is the last question, JB, and I know you got to go. We're going to let you go. What is your view of what's going to happen tomorrow in Green Bay? Bears versus Green Bay. Give us a synopsis very quickly of what you think is going to happen.
27-23 Packers.
I didn't mean that quick.
Because I'm very confident, because I have a reason behind me saying that.
Okay, go ahead. Shoot your shot, bro.
The reason I'm saying that is because I feel that Getsy is going to come out trying to prove something, saying that this might be his audition for another team or possibly his audition for college, right?
Okay.
And unfortunately, he's going to put Justin in some situations where it's going to be unfavorable, and I think Justin still will play pretty well. But the Packers they're surging right now. That young man, Jordan Love, he's already through 30. He's about to do something no Bears quarterback has ever done, and this is his first year starting.
Ain't that sad? And they got escalator clauses in his contract right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's about to get paid.
Yeah, he's about to get paid right now. And how do we just keep? It's just amazing to me how we just keep missing. And I think Justin Fields is that guy who could throw for big numbers, who could be one of the greatest offensive threats, because he has one thing that most quarterbacks don't have, is that huge burst out of there. And we've seen, and now if he could just learn, and we've seen him now, he's getting down quicker, he's getting out of bounds, right? He's not putting the ball in harm's way. We're starting to see him do that. And I believe with Justin Fields right now, this is the time not to cut bait. You got to stay with what got you here. I think Justin Fields is going to have a big day tomorrow. And I think the Bear got a reason to fight, and they're going to send Green Bay home packing by 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
I would love it, and I would buy you a bottle of your choice if that happens. Well, and I will gladly pay up meat and center, because I want them to do just that. It's just a gut feeling, because we've seen this story so many times when they're supposed to do the obvious. Again, you're running Velus Jones on 4th and 1 instead of putting Blasingame and Roshan Johnson in the backfield. You have a freaking fullback and a workhorse. Hell, Deontay Foreman, whose best attribute is breaking tackles, and he's a healthy scratch. Like, you keep doing the same dumb stuff. You know they got this 6'7" kid out there now. Let me see if you use him in the red zone, because you know Darnell's not going to play. Mooney's not going to play.
You know, it's one of those things. They have all the things they need. And as you said, they've got some nuggets that they're hiding that they haven't had out there. But we're going to talk about this some more. In fact, we'll reconvene after this Week 18 tomfoolery and see where we are and where we stand. But, JB, let the people know how they can follow you, what what you guys got going on. Let the people know what they can do to keep up with you.
Absolutely. You can find me every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, on the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast, where we do just what we're doing. We talk heavy Bears, we talk Bulls, Blackhawks, a little baseball coming up with, after the winter meetings were over and everything, but that's a whole other story that I don't want to dive into, because Chicago baseball sucks. But anyway, I think I'm going to give me a new team.
Yeah, I think I'm going back to the Braves.
Yeah, you can find us there. We're on YouTube. Like and subscribe to the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast. And you can also find us on Facebook under the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast. And, oh, man, I'm just, guys, I'm excited, because one or two things is going to happen in these next couple of months. We're going to find out that Caleb Williams really ain't all that. He's probably going to clock in at about 5'11 3/4. Hands aren't going to be as big as we thought he was. And then somebody, here's a revelation. Is he really that good? Because his backup just threw for 6 touchdowns in the bowl game that he didn't play in. And his own teammates said, we finally have a team now. Stuff like that is telling. Yeah. Oh, you didn't know? The backup threw for 6 touchdowns against Louisville, who's no slouch.
Right. Yeah. I was watching part of that game talking about, where'd this guy come from?
Oh, that's how his offense is supposed to look.
Let's get the anointed one. He's the can't miss. He's Patrick Mahomes. Well, you know what? Guess what? If he's Patrick Mahomes, then Justin Fields is Patrick Mahomes and Randall Cunningham mixed. Give me him.
Ooh. I'll just say this.
Him.
Caleb Williams ain't no Andrew Luck. He ain't no Peyton Manning, and he sure ain't John Elway. So unless I got one of those coming through the door, I'm staying with Justin, building around him and building a team that's going to work. But, JB, we appreciate you coming out, man. Thank you for coming on, and hopefully you all are tuning into the CCP broadcast. Make sure every Tuesday when they're doing their show that you're following them on YouTube and that you find them on Facebook. Chicago Clubhouse Podcast, hottest talk in the 219, the 312, the 708, the 444.
You sound like Ludacris right now.
Hey, baby, they're international, baby. They got pros from every situation. So thanks, man, for coming out. We appreciate you being on the show.
My pleasure. Can't wait to talk to you guys next week.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, what we do is always bring you the best of not only the music and the talk, but we give you everything you want here on the Sizzle. So what we're going to do is we're going to play some music. We're going to go back in the crates for you. We're going to play some Love is a Battlefield.
Is that where all that dust came from?
Yes, sir. I brought it in with me. I made sure I made a mix for everybody to enjoy and sit back and relax. You know what we do at 9 o'clock? We do it all the time. It's the G mix, and then later on we got the J mix coming in. Got some of that house 5 for you. Got some of that Euro 5 for you. Got some of that 5 for you. So you're listening to the Sizzle here on WGVE 88.7 FM.